What cheer, y'all? Let's take a look at the Arkansas Derby and then let's grade it out. So here we go.
You know what that means? We're ready to go. They're off in the 89th Arkansas.
Yeah, pretty good break for all concerned. Cornucopia was going to go to the lead, and Cole battle a little keener than I thought he might be. They had to rein him on back, but and of course Sandman taking his place towards the rear, and Publisher as well. Nothing early from them, but look at those two. And I gotta say, I love Johnny Velasquez, but I really don't understand the thinking here. Cornucopian can outrun Speed King on his best day anytime. All he had to do was just sit there and let Speed King go to the lead, and he'd flame out because he can't get the distance. And instead, they turned it into a match race early, and they both flamed out. Set up perfectly for the late runners, as the Sandman.
It's a testing first half mile here for these top two. It would be incredible if either of them could keep this up. There's 7 lengths ahead. Cole Battle running in the third position.
You see Sandman starting to make a move. Cole Battle doing what he did in the Rebel, that same kind of early move. But Sandman is already rolling, and they weren't going to let that happen twice. And got him engaged a little earlier, and that was the ticket. Publisher ran big. We thought he'd run well. I didn't think he'd run quite this well, but Sandman's still a little green, but he's a tappet, so you can kind of expect that. Sandman finally got over the top. So let's grade him out. Okay, so let's grade him out. And I just wanted to say right at the top, I congratulate all of you who did have Sandman. I drank the Bob Baffert Kool-Aid. I thought there were a lot of reasons to go against Cornucopian. I knew what they all were, but I just had a feeling he might work his magic. He can do it. He did it with Taba, and I thought he might have been able to do it again, especially with a field that had some vulnerability. Sandman, we knew what it was. Cole Battle didn't need the race. So we took a shot, but it was obviously not the right play. And so I want to tip my cap to all of you who did have Sandman. I bet there were quite a few of you. So anyway, there's that. Taking a look at this field, Brereton's Baytown, he didn't belong in the race. I don't think he had any business running in a Grade 1 stakes race. But I will say this, he did keep on, and that keeps me from giving him an F. He did continue to run on. I think he maybe finished 6th or 7th. So he gets a D for that. First division, no factor at all. That's an easy F. Now, Publisher, I'm going to give an A-. I thought he ran big. I'm going to say, though, that is it really such a great thing to be all the way at the back and come from the clouds only to end up with a second, the way he got the second? You have to think maybe if he moved a little earlier, he might have had a chance to win the race. It kind of reminded me of Red Route 1. Last year or 2 years ago, it was so bloody frustrating watching that horse coming from way, 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 way back and just seemingly have no chance to ever win a race. I think this is a horse that's improving. I think he's now in the Derby. Is he one that can get up in the exotics? Yes, but that strategy just doesn't work in the Kentucky Derby coming from that far back. So I'm going to give him an A- because he ran a good race. He finally got free of traffic. Kind of the same thing as Tistastic. They've both been lingering on the rail inside, but now that they took him to the outside, it seems to have freed them up, and they ran a lot better. But I can't see this horse as any more than an exotics hope running that way. Best Friend Rocket, really not much of a factor in the race. Seemed to have some problems, had to check on the backstretch. So I'm going to upgrade from an F and give a D because it seemed to set him back, and he had to drop way back out of the race. So we won't penalize him for that. Speed King did all the heavy lifting with Cornucopian, and he gets a C-. I didn't think this horse had any chance to win the race. I don't think he can get the distance. And certainly when the pace is that blistering, he would have no chance at all. And that's exactly what happened. But you know what? He did all the early heavy lifting. They didn't try to rate him this time. He ran his race, just wasn't good enough. So C minus. Sandman certainly an A. They engaged him earlier, and that made the difference, I think. He when Cold Battle made his move on the backstretch, Sandman was already in motion. It was certainly the right move to make. He was able to display that big kick that we've seen all along, and the timing was just right. Now, the only thing you can say is, of course, that he had the dream scenario. He had a blistering pace to run into for a late runner. I'll give him a little more credit than that because I do think he was more forwardly placed. And I always like to see that, especially with horses who run late, when you start seeing them get more engaged in the race early. We saw that with Sierra Leone last year. And it's a really good sign that a horse is improving. So from that perspective, this was a very positive race for Sandman. If he can take another step forward and maybe mature a little bit more. Still was a little green in the stretch. You saw him bobbing and weaving there. He may be more than just an exotics player in the Derby. Monet's Magic, nothing, F. Cold Battle, I think, ran his race. He didn't need it. He was a little keen early. I was a little surprised at that, so they had to rein him back, but he made that, that patented move on the backstretch that worked so well for him in the Rebel, and this time he was a little short. But, again, I don't think he needed the race. And I don't think he lost anything from finishing what was a good third. Sandman had a little bit better scenario. I think Cold Battle did just fine. And I think he's a player. I mean, I think he's a horse you have to love, and certainly one that you have to think about for your exotics. Now, whether or not he can take it to another level to get up and to win contender for the Derby, I don't know. He did a little bit of work there, but he's a really nice horse, and you got to root for him for sure. And I think he did well in the Arkansas Derby. Cornucopian, I'm going to give a gentleman C because it was his first attempt around a route. As I mentioned in watching the race, I don't get what Johnny V was doing. I just don't. Yes, he wanted to get to the lead, but once you see a horse like Speed King, which he had to know beforehand was going to press him all the way, let him go. Just hang back. Cornucopian had the natural speed that was that he could put away Speed King. Let him flame out. Let him go and run 22 and 45 and just sit back and wait. So I really don't quite understand the thinking behind just absolutely having to have the lead. I guess I see it from a perspective, young horse, first time around a route. If he's at the lead, then he doesn't have to worry about kickback or any of that other stuff. But hey, the two of them were so far up front, they basically just destroyed each other. I'll give a little bit to Cornucopian because he did stay on for fourth. I think that is a testament to the kind of talent this horse has. But one thing I will note, and I kind of turned a blind eye to it when I watched Cornucopian's maiden win. His stride is so short. He just needs, he takes 2 strides for like Sandman's 1. And those are the kind of horses you don't want in a 2-turn race. I turned a blind eye to it. I admit, I was completely in denial about it. Cornucopian, I hope they send to the bench for a good long time before he runs again. Because otherwise, if they keep trying to go with him, he's going to end up another Taba. And we don't want to see that. This is a horse who has talent, without a doubt. And I think could be an effective 2-turn horse. But let's not rush him into anything. Don't put him in the Lexington and just to try to get him into the Derby. Do the right thing. I just hope they do. That would be my hope. So anyway, that's the Arkansas Derby. Did we answer some questions? Well, maybe. I think Sandman, that was the kind of ride that he needs to be effective. And that kind of ride in the Derby, I wouldn't put it past him to take it down. If he was more engaged, that's what we wanted to see from him. And I still, I don't think he's a finished product yet, but he's certainly on his way, and I think he definitely took a step forward. Cold Battle, I would still continue to consider, to think about. Publisher, I think he's still an underneath play at very best, just because, where he's coming from in order to be competitive in these races, and then everybody else you can toss. That's the way I see this race. Sandman was absolutely the star of the day, without a doubt. So that's the Arkansas Derby. I hope our analysis helps you with your own formulation and that you do get something out of it. And of course, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's a good record. It's to say thank you very much to all of you who continue to grow this community. It's terrific. And you guys have been just so great with the comments, and I'm loving it. Keep it up. We just put our top 20 list out, and we've already got a bunch of comments. It's terrific, and the community that talks to each other usually benefits. So let's keep doing that. We're going to have a lot of content this week. We've got the Santa Anita Derby, the Wood Memorial, and the Bluegrass. We will likely do a Keeneland late sequence. Then we will do best bets and value plays along with the full card. So be on the lookout for that as well. And we certainly have Oaks preps to post about, so we will do that as well. So plenty of content left coming from Right at the Wire. So stay tuned right here for that. Well, that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.